What's up, everybody? I'm just doing my first live draft for the year. Thought some people may want to hop in with me and help me make some picks, see what I got going. So I got started kind of late, so I'm already in round three. So far, as you can see, it's a PPR league. A lot of running backs left the board early. Uh, I'm picking second. My first pick was Jamar Chase. My second pick was Jonathan Taylor. Uh, for some strange reason, the guy in front of me picked Tyreek Hill and left me with a ton of options. I normally try to go running back heavy, but I really like Drake London this year, and having him at this point is just way too good to pass up. So right here, got to go Drake London. So I got two receivers. Typically, when I draft a team, let me see if I can turn the sound off. I hate that annoying sound. All right. So typically, when I try to draft a team, I normally go extremely running back heavy. My philosophy is there are going to be a ton of wide receivers who can step up and give you wide receiver two, wide receiver three type of production. So I normally try to get my bell cow running backs and then just throw a bunch of crap at the wall and see what sticks at wide receiver. But right now, I'm picking second. And Drake London just fell into my lap. So to me, it was just too good of a deal to pass up on. I see I got one person joining me on YouTube. I can't see who it is. If you want to get in the comments, let me know who you are. Just go hit the comments. Right now, I was just on my computer doing my live draft. And I thought, why not just go live? We could talk some Cowboys football. You guys can give me some thoughts on my team. You can give me some thoughts on who you think I should pick next. I'll probably be here for about a good 35 minutes. Uh, until I pick, I'll give you guys some more information about my fantasy strategy. I see a lot of running backs are getting taken early, so I'm gonna have to load up on running backs for probably the next 3 or 4 picks. I see we got DJ Dog joining me. Appreciate you tuning in. I don't know if you're a fantasy football guy, but I'm always open to getting any feedback I can. This is a different type of draft. Normally, when I'm drafting with these guys, they normally go heavy, heavy running back. I mean, heavy wide receivers. But it looks like right now they're all going heavy on running back. And surprisingly, they have wiped out the running back room fairly quickly. Normally, when I draft with these guys, this is my 17th year drafting with these guys. Normally, I can go about 4 or 5 running back straight and get everybody I want. But right now, all these guys are going super running back heavy, and it's giving me a lot of problems when it comes to my pick. So I'm going to start at the running back position group, see what's left. The top running backs left right now are Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, RJ Harvey, Travion Henderson, Isaiah Pacheco, Aaron Jones. uh you might want to go talk to your cousin or your nephew, whatever the F I want. I know you're a diehard Chicago fan. Jeff is actually in his draft. He's on the very end. Right now, he has a really good squad to me. Ton of running backs. Genty went pick number 6 in the first round. Yeah, Genty went 6. I don't see a lot of running backs I like. It's still a lot of wide receivers I really like, but I gotta go running back right now because the running back room's getting kind of empty pretty quick. So right now, guys, my running back picks are Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, RJ Harvey, Isaiah Pacheco, Aaron Jones. Personally, I'm leaning Isaiah Pacheco. RJ Harvey with the Denver Broncos. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of Harvey right now. I think that's KJ Dobbins' job to lose. He's a veteran. Sean Payton loves veterans. Let me look at the tight end room, see if the top tight ends left. Trey McBride. I got 17 seconds left. Nobody gave me any comments, so I'm just gonna go Pacheco right here. Special Potion, thank you for joining us. I'm just talking fantasy right now. If you guys have Cowboys questions, I mean, we did have a game yesterday, so I'm sure you guys have a lot of topics you would like to touch base on. We can touch some of those as well. Let's see. Go back to the running back room. I'm not high on Montgomery this year. I think that's Gibbs' job to lose. Let's see. Aaron Jones, Quinshon Judkins. I think I can get him a little bit later. Let me check out the wide receiver room again. Still a ton of wide receivers I really like. Let's look at quarterback. Nobody really there. Tight end position, some solid guys. You know, that's a good question, DJ Dog. Is Aaron Jones the starter? Jordan Mason has had a really good camp, so you never know. I'll probably just go David Montgomery right here because I still think he's going to be the red zone back. And then I still see a bunch of running backs I really like going forward. I can get Dobbins later. I like Tyrone Tracy. I know the fan base. I know everybody loves Scatterboo. But Tyrone Tracy as a rookie had 1,000 yards. He's super explosive. I haven't seen Scatterboo in an NFL game yet, so I don't know if his lack of speed is going to translate into the NFL. I know Tracy's will. The Giants have upgraded their offensive line. I think Tracy's going to have a pretty good year this year. So I would personally take Tracy over Scatterboo. So right now my team is Chase, Jamar Chase, Jonathan Taylor, Drake London, Isaiah Pacheco, David Montgomery. I'm not super happy with my running backs, but I really like the two receivers. I'm probably going to try to load up on running backs later because there are a lot of guys that I think people are passing up on. I see the views are getting up pretty high, so we got a couple people watching from YouTube. I hope nobody that's in my draft is watching from YouTube right now because I'm giving away all my tips as I go forward. We are at the bottom of the 5th round. Looks like everybody else is starting to take wide receivers. I'm still looking at running backs, though. There's a lot of receivers I really like. I think there's a couple of running backs I may be able to sneak in. If Aaron Jones creeps back up to the bottom of the draft, I'll probably take him. Between Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, and Quinshon Judkins, I think one of those guys should fall to me. That'll probably be my next pick. I see Jeff is having a really good draft, loading up on a bunch of running backs. So while I wait for my pick, let me know what you guys thought about last night's game because I know a ton of you guys are Cowboys fans. So I'm just interested in what you thought about the game. I know I'll do a more in-depth breakdown this Wednesday. I also have some guests coming with me. The podcasters from the Frankly Football Podcast, two Cowboys fans, they'll be joining me this Wednesday to talk about game 2 of the preseason. And Aaron Jones is gone, so I got to hope a couple of my other guys fall. Also, Frankly Football will be joining me this week. I haven't had a chance to watch the All 22 yet, so I'll give a couple of my thoughts as we go through this. But my thoughts usually change dramatically once I have a chance to look at the All 22. Like I talked about before, All 22 gives you a different viewpoint than you get from the game. Special Potion said Milton looked a small bit better on getting some touch on his throws, but still very inaccurate. I see all my running backs are getting taken off the board. Let's hope Quinshon Judkins can make it here. Okay, well, Quinshon Judkins is still here, so I think I'll go ahead and take him now. So I got 4 running backs. I normally like to have 6 running backs personally. So I got 4. There are 2 more I still really like. DJ Moore is still on the board, so I'll take another wide receiver here. I'm gonna it's been forever since I played fantasy football. I used to try to get 2 starting running backs that get majority of the carries. Wide receiver, also another 2 that are primary targets. I got a quarterback and then filling in off weeks. I agree. That's kind of my strategy. Well, I like to get 4 running backs that get a majority of the carries. Personally, I like to load my team up with running backs because one thing I've noticed when I watch football and play fantasy football, there's always 2 or 3 wide receivers that are just going to completely explode out of nowhere. Nobody expects it. And those guys end up being top 10 wide receivers. So I normally try to base my strategy. I'll get 2 or 3 solid wide receivers, and then I'll just load up on running backs. And then whenever I see that next top wide receiver emerge, I try to make sure that I can pick him up off free agency. Last year I did that with Ladd McConkey, and who else was it last year that really blew up? The wide receiver from the Giants, Wan'Dale Robinson. This is a PPR league. Wan'Dale Robinson had like 97 catches for 700 yards and 4 touchdowns. Doesn't sound like a lot, but for a guy off waivers, that's really good production. I think he finished wide receiver 25. So if he was drafted, wide receiver 25 would have been somewhere like a 3rd or 4th round pick. So I normally try to watch the wide receivers early. I try to watch a lot of preseason to see what guy is kind of getting a lot of targets. And then I'll try to draft that guy later rounds or pay close attention to him in free agency. I don't think anybody from my fantasy league is watching right now. So if you guys are fantasy guys, I'll give you a couple of names of guys that I don't think will get drafted, but I think they could end up being some fantasy winners. The first guy I'm watching is the wide receiver from the Raiders, the kid they drafted from Tennessee. The Raiders don't have an explosive offense. All of their wide receivers are kind of possession guys. They have a possession tight end. They just drafted a running back. I think that wide receiver has a really good shot, and that's Deontay Thornton. I think he has a really good shot to be a 50 catch, 700 yards, 7 or 8 touchdown type guy. And that type of guy would be like a 5th or 6th round pick. I don't think he's going to get drafted. So that's a guy I'm going to be watching week 1. And then I'll make sure I try to get him on waivers. Or if I draft a guy now and I have an injury and I'm able to put him on injury reserve, that'll be the next guy I pick up off free agency. Let's see. So it's my pick now. So I got 3 wide receivers, 4 running backs. Let me check out the running back position. Next running backs up are Scatterboo, Najee Harris, Charbonnet, Jordan Mason, Ramondre Stevens, Tyjae Spears. I don't see anybody off that running back list that I think I need to reach for. So I will probably check out wide receiver again. Jaden Waddle, Jordan Addison, Rome Odunze. I don't see anything on this wide receiver list that really stands out to me. So I'll look at quarterbacks. Let's see. I got Patrick Mahomes and I got Baker Mayfield. I'm super high on Baker Mayfield this year. I'll probably go Baker Mayfield right here. Then I see a couple tight ends I like, but I don't have to get them yet. I may come back with another running back. Do you get a floater position in your league, for example? Yeah, we do have one flex position. It's wide receiver and running back. So typically when I'm drafting, I try to have my starters at 2 wide receivers and 3 running backs. I see Jaden Waddle still here. I actually like the value right here, so I'll probably take him. I'm not in love with him as a player, but personally, I don't have a lot of faith in Tyreek Hill. I think his body's starting to break down. Once you become like one of those super athlete type guys, once you have one injury, typically the floodgates start to open and you just continue to stay injured because your body is not able to keep up with what you think you can do mentally. I feel like Tyreek Hill's kind of hitting that point. So I'm kind of off of him this year. I think Jaden Waddle has a chance to really cement himself as wide receiver one. I got him in the 9th round. He's my 4th wide receiver. So that means he's essentially my first or second guy off the bench. I like the value right here. All right, so I got a minute before I pick. Let's talk about the Cowboys game a little bit. We'll talk about a couple of positions. I'll go in further detail Wednesday. There's been a lot of talk about that defensive tackle position. I know that's the big position of topic. Jay Toia, he played better. I'll give him that. He played better. He still got beat a lot. And he got beat more consistently than he played well. I've already seen a couple of the guys who have him as their pet cat. They're already trying to say, like, I saw more explosiveness. And I did. I don't want to take anything away from him. He was definitely more explosive. The problem was when you're explosive, you have to be explosive going through the guard's face. If for example, I'm the guard and you're the nose tackle, if you blow me up right here, you blow up the whole play because I'm going back and that takes away that entire gap on both sides. But if you're explosive and you come off this shoulder and I do this, all this is wide open. And that running back has a clear path to run right behind me. So I've seen people say Toia looked more explosive. He was getting upfield. He was definitely getting upfield. The problem was he was giving up gap integrity. So if you take my outside shoulder and go upfield, to somebody who's just watching the game, they're going to say, wow, look how Toia got upfield and got in the backfield. But if you watch it in terms of all 22 or watch the running game, you will see he ran himself out of the play, and now that linebacker has to clean it up. So if you watch Damone Clark and how he had 8 tackles in the first half, a lot of that was because guys like Toia were picking a side and going upfield, and those linebackers had to fill in the gap and take up for him. All right, it's back on my pick again. Let me go to the running back position. I need another running back. I don't like Najee Harris. I don't like Tyreek Spears. I'm leaning Tank Bigsby right now. He has been playing a lot in terms of the starter. I know a lot of people are still going to love ATN because he was the first round pick, but you got to go with production when you're watching fantasy. Fantasy and reality are two different things. I'm going Tank Bigsby right here. And I talked about this with the Cowboys. The Jaguars have a new coaching staff. So that means no player has any sponsors. It's 100% how you produce on the field. So if you're a Tank Bigsby and you outproduced ATN last year and you come into training camp, you outproduce them this year, they don't care where you were drafted at. They're going with the guy they feel more comfortable with. And I think that's going to be Tank Bigsby for the Jaguars. So I think getting him in the 10th round is a really good value. Let's see if there are any other running backs I really like late. Not a lot of running backs. Let me check out the wide receiver position really quick. I could go Chris Godwin. I could go. I like Jacoby Myers. I think he's going to be the starting receiver. And with the Raiders, they're going to be behind a lot. I think I'm going to go Myers right here. Okay, I'm at round 11. I still got about 6 more rounds left. So I just talked about Jay Toia. Linebackers did a great job of filling in gaps. One thing I did notice on watching the live game that I can't wait to watch on the All 22, it almost looked like the coaching staff asked the defensive line to pick a side. So everybody was blasting the left shoulder on the D line and asking the linebackers to fill in on the right side. And they got torched quite a bit doing that. But I can't watch the All 22 to kind of see it. DJ Dog said Booker looked good trying to be positive. I agree. I've heard some people say Booker was up and down. And I'll say 2 things about that. Number 1, this was his first NFL reps. So I don't expect him to come out and dominate out of the gate. I saw enough that tells me that he can be a quality NFL player. It was a little inconsistent. He never got beat, but he didn't come on top every time. Another thing I don't think the fan base realizes, the Ravens defensive tackles are all extremely big. I think both of their starters are like 330, and then the backups are 340 and 360. And yes, I did say that correctly. Their backup defensive tackles are 340 and 360. So that's kind of who Tyler Booker was going against in his first NFL game. So I didn't expect him to just dominate these guys because they have some really big defensive tackles. DJ Dog said first half was a Cropper showcase. If offense starts slow in the opener, I have no sympathy for this coaching staff. That's a great point, DJ Dog. Something that really bothered me about watching these games, and you hit the nail on the head. Cropper was playing a lot with the second team, and we didn't see a lot of Trayshawn Holden. I thought he did enough last game to earn more first half reps. Looks like I was wrong. We've been seeing a lot of Cropper. We've also been seeing a lot of Josh Kelly. And both of those have been surprising. I don't know if that means they're trying to hide Holden or those guys are just outproducing him in practice. But I would love to see Holden get more early down reps where he can come into the game and help build the rhythm with the offense. Game 3, I think we're going to see a lot more Holden for sure. It's almost my pick. There are a ton of wide receivers, a ton of quarterbacks I like. Herbert, Purdy, Williams, Justin Fields. Again, remember, this is fantasy, not reality. Justin Fields in fantasy is going to give you 400 rushing yards and probably 5 rushing touchdowns. That's as important as throwing for 4,000 yards. So for fantasy purposes, Justin Fields is a really good fantasy quarterback. I see at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I see 8 quarterbacks I really like. So I probably won't draft a quarterback until the end of the draft. It looks like everybody has drafted at least 1. Most of these guys have 2. So there's no real rush for me to get a quarterback. Going back to the running back room. Let's see. It's mostly backups right now. Let's go to wide receiver again. It's on me. I like Josh Downs. I think he's gonna have a good year with the Colts. The value's there. Let's see what his stats look like last year. Last year he was putting up good stats when he had a good quarterback. Now, whether or not the Colts have a good quarterback remains to be seen, but I think he's consistent enough to be worth a draft right here. Then I'll probably get my tight end next. Yep, you're right about that. The alligator arms were on display. The one Joe Milton only made 3 great throws in that game. The rest of them were pretty much just garbage throws to me. And the one of the 3 throws he made that was really good, Cropper got the alligator arms on it. Okay, let's see. I see 2 tight ends I really like. So I'm gonna almost force a running back right here. You know what? Never mind. I'm going to take Brandon Ayuk, and I can put him on my pup list, and then I'll come back and use him later on in the season. So I think I'm pretty good at wide receiver right now. I'm probably going to load up on running backs at this point. Another thing I really noticed in this game, Hunter Lepke played a lot of tight end. Like he played probably more tight end than any other actual tight end on the team. No, Judkins has been gone. Judkins was gone in round 6. I actually drafted Judkins, so he's on my team in the 6th round. Special Potion says Milton is garbage. If that goes out, we're cooked. I'll be honest. I don't think Milton is going to be the backup quarterback. I think it's Will Grier. I think this is kind of like the same situation we saw last year with I went blank on his name, but you guys know what I'm talking about, the quarterback we got from the Niners. He played heavily in preseason. He played heavily in the regular season. I think the team, and I said this on the show last week, Trey Lance. Thank you, Special Potion, Trey Lance. Preseason is about player evaluation and player analysis. We don't know what Joe Milton is. We know what Will Grier is. He has 6 years in the league. So I really feel like the coaching staff is trying to put Joe Milton out there to see what he can be. He's going to make the roster. He's going to make the roster. He's going to probably be our emergency quarterback, so he'll be inactive for most games. I think we're going to roll with Dak and Grier, or I wouldn't be shocked to see Zach Wilson, a Mac Jones, Case Keenum. I'm trying to think of like veteran quarterbacks. I wouldn't be surprised to see a guy like that get cut at final cuts, and then Dallas go pick up a veteran quarterback like that to be the backup, and then they possibly put Will Grier on a practice squad, and Joe Milton is your emergency quarterback. I could see that scenario happening because I don't think Will Grier has shown enough to warrant being picked up by another team. That's another reason why I think Will Grier hasn't been showcased in the preseason. I think he's going to be one of those veteran guys who's going to be cut. And we'll talk about this on the show, but just to give you guys a heads up, when you go through 53-man roster cuts, if you've been in the league for less than 3 years, you have to clear waivers, and then any team can pick you up. If you're a veteran, you don't have to clear waivers. You're just cut, and you're out there. So I think a guy like a Will Grier, we've seen it with CJ Goodwin in the past. We saw it with our long snapper for the past couple of years. They'll cut a veteran. They'll kind of just say, "Hey, hang back in the locker room, hang back in the hotel, let these 24 hours pass, and then we'll sign you back to the roster, or we'll put you on the practice squad." I think that's kind of what we're going to see with Will Grier this year. I think Grier is going to be one of those guys who, see where I'm at. I think Will Grier is going to be one of those guys who gets cut and then they bring him back. All right, I guess I'll go with my tight end now. I really like Zach Ertz this year for Washington. Let's see. Any defenses I like? I don't normally draft defenses. I will draft a kicker, though. I don't see any kickers I love. So I'll wait around on kicker. Let's look at running back again. Is there a running back? I like Jalen Wright. Not Jalen Wright. Yeah, Jalen Wright. I really like Jalen Wright from the Dolphins. He's the backup behind Achane. To me, they're basically the same guy. Jalen Wright was a second-round pick last year. Achane can't stay healthy. I think Jalen Wright's going to have an opportunity to get a lot of snaps this year. All right, I got 2 more picks left. I'll check out the running back room, see if there's anybody else I like. If Rico Dowdle makes it back around, I may go Rico Dowdle. I know that I know the running back last year for the Panthers, Chuba Hubbard, had a really breakout season. But injuries do happen. Well, Rico Dowdle's gone now, so I can scratch that off my list. So I've got 2 picks left. I don't normally draft kicker or defense. I normally just wait till week 1, see if I have an injury, see if somebody doesn't make the final roster at a spot that I think they will. So I kind of wait a couple of weeks before I pick up a kicker or a defense. So normally in the last 2 rounds, I'll pick up a running back that I like, or I'll pick up a handcuff. So I don't see. I could maybe go Dylan Sampson right here to get Quinshon Judkins handcuff. Let's see. I don't really like any of these running backs, to be honest. I don't normally draft this many wide receivers, but wide receiver list looks pretty deep this year. Any tight ends I like? Let me check out defenses. I don't see a lot of defenses that I'm in love with right here. I'll just wait and see what defense comes to me. I'll probably take a flyer on a running back right here. See if Jerome Ford is still available. Not a lot of running backs I really like. Definitely not going Miles Sanders. I guess I'll take a backup quarterback right here. So I got J.J. McCarthy, Jordan Love, Tua. I like JJ McCarthy, but I think I may go safe, and I'll probably go Jordan Love as a backup right here. All right, I'm almost done with my draft. Thank you for the like, SB Ray. I appreciate it. I was just sitting around the house. I was sitting in front of the computer going live to do my fantasy. I thought, why not just come on here and talk to you guys for a few minutes? All right, I'm down to my last pick. Let's look at the tight end position. Maybe I'll take a flyer on a tight end. Not a lot of options. Check out wide receiver. If the Chargers didn't take Keenan Allen, I would really be high on Josh Palmer. Let's see. There's nobody I'm really in love with right here. Marvin Mims, no. No names at the bottom. Let's look at running back. Maybe I'll take a flyer on a running back. Let me I'll take a flyer on Monaguy. So Monaguy is a 7th round pick out of Rutgers. This is one of those guys, in my opinion. If this draft wasn't so deep, he probably would have been a 4th round pick. So I like the value that the Bears got in him as a running back. I also like the value I just got in him on my fantasy team. Because again, new coaching staff, they drafted this running back. And I always keep saying it. Nobody has a sponsor except for free agents and draft picks. He was a draft pick. I know DeAndre Swift was a running back last year, but again, he doesn't have a sponsor. Monaguy does. He's looked pretty good in the preseason. I think he's averaged 5 yards a carry. So he could slide his way into becoming the backup running back in Chicago. And if something happens to Swift, he could become the starter as a 7th round pick. So I'm not in love with my draft. I got too many young guys for me personally. I think I got a ton of wide receivers. I love all my wide receivers. I'll probably be making a trade at some point. Just check my team out as it stands. So these are my starters right now. I got Baker Mayfield, Jonathan Taylor, Quinshon Judkins, Jamar Chase, Drake London, Zach Ertz, who I love Zach Ertz with Washington. I think Jaden Daniels is a big I think he loves using his tight ends as outlets. So I think that's going to be a really good pick. So I just put Brandon Ayuk on the pup list. So I'll see him in 6 weeks. I just picked up my kicker. I normally don't pick up a defense personally until I absolutely have to. So I'll see how my guys perform. Maybe Monaguy becomes the 3rd running back, and I think he's going to be the 2nd. He'll be a guy who will probably cut and pick up a defense. Maybe somebody gets hurt, and I put a 2nd guy on R. Then I'll pick up a defense. I would give my team a C-, to be honest. I'm not really high on my running backs. I love my wide receivers. I think I'm really good at wide receiver, but I feel like I need one more bell cow type running back to make me feel really comfortable. And plus, I haven't seen Judkins yet, so I don't know what I'm going to get. So week 1, I'm probably starting Pacheco and roll out with that. All right, guys. So like I said, I didn't have anything really lined up tonight. I was just doing my fantasy draft and thought, hey, I'll just go live and see if anybody wants to hear me talk through my process of drafting my fantasy team. But we will have a show this Wednesday at 8:30 Central Standard Time for the fifth quarter podcast. So hopefully you guys will come join me at 8:30 Central Standard Time this Wednesday. I'm gonna have the guys from Frankly Football joining me. We'll be doing a breakdown of the week 2 preseason game. As you guys know, the third preseason game is kind of the bottom of the roster bowl. So guys who are on the bubble or guys who probably won't make the team will be playing the entire game. So we'll talk about also what guys we think will have to have a showing in preseason game 3, what guys we're expecting to see, what type of expectations we have for this guys. And then we may talk a little bit about how we think the 53-man roster will go. I know 53-man rosters will normally break down on the Monday after the last game. So I have 2 fantasy football leagues next Sunday. Actually, one of my fantasy football leagues is the one I host with the Cowboys podcasters who will be on here with me. So while I have them live doing the fantasy draft, we'll probably do some 53-man roster talk. So make sure you join us this Wednesday. Also, find me next Sunday. We'll be talking with some of the podcasters and doing some 53-man roster discussion. I got a lot of great podcasters on there. I got the guys from UK Cowboys. I got Charlie with Dallas Cowboys Uncensored. You guys see him in the comments quite a bit. Let's see. I also have Tacos and Football. Aaron Collins, the podcaster from there. Got a lot of knowledgeable fans. I got my guy Jeff. You see him in the comments quite a bit. You see Mendoza if you follow. So it's going to be a lot of knowledge in there. My old co-host Lambo from the Cowboy Zone is in that league. So hopefully I can get a lot of these guys to go live and we can just kind of have a roundtable of Cowboys football talk while we do our fantasy draft. So tune in this Wednesday. Also join us on Sunday for our fantasy draft. Hope to see you guys for all the lives I do this week. Thank you for everybody who joined us today. I see we got quite a few people from X. Hopefully I can get you guys on YouTube one day so I can hear your thoughts on everything I'm talking about. But until then, I'll see you guys this Wednesday. And as always, let's go Cowboys. Thank you guys for watching.